me a little bit about what Crucible does.
So Crucible is kind of the top of the food chain in terms of the start of the process for powder metal steel. We're going to be bringing in the raw materials, the alloys, the scrap, and we're going to be melting the powder. So the process starts with melting. We make the powder out of it. That goes through a HIP process to bring it back to a solid, and then forging and rolling into like a heavy slab. So the end of the road for us is going to be a conditioned slab, 11, 15 inches wide, 4 or 5 inches thick, 13,000 pounds maybe a piece. So you get a lot of knives out of a slab.
That's a lot of knives.
A lot of knives. It goes about 2.5 hours down the road west of us to Niagara Specialty Metals, who rolls it to sheet. So they'll take it down to all the custom gauges, everything you want. They descale. They can do a ton of stuff. But really at the top of the chain is getting it melted, the R&D that goes into it. It's a fun process.
One of the things I've always wondered, because it's a powder steel, you are melting the steel, correct?
Yep.
And then you are turning it into small particles, that's a powder.
Yes.
And then basically pressing it back together, is
That's
that
right.
correct?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So, you know, a traditional ingot cast process, you've got all your metal, you pour a liquid stream of metal, it solidifies slowly, and you end up with an ingot. And you can forge an ingot, and that's common in carbon steel, stainless steels. But as you increase the alloy content, a lot of those alloys end up in a center line.
Okay.
So you end up with depleted on the outside, rich on the inside. So you get to grades like 15V, 10V, a lot of the higher alloy grades, they would just never survive an ingot process.
Okay.
So that liquid metal comes down, and instead of forming into an ingot mold, it gets blasted with supersonic nitrogen air, and it turns into a powder. So when you look in the vessel, you see kind of glowing powder come down, and it falls into a vat of liquid nitrogen and solidifies. That locks in the chemistry, that locks in the particle size, and so now you can have a homogeneous chemistry, homogeneous particle throughout.
So what I was told one time, one of the advantages is if you think like concrete, you want to have aggregate that has all uniform small little rocks.
Okay.
You wouldn't want like 2 or 3 big rocks in there, because then the concrete would crack around it.
Okay.
And that the powder steels, because of that homogeneous, small, fine grain, are the same. They're stronger, better edge resistance. You don't have those big particles able to chip out, and just a myriad of things. But it sounds like it's way more expensive to make a steel like this than traditional ingot steel, correct?
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. Part of it is the size. So we have a small electric arc furnace on site for our stainless products. The non-knife steel stuff, we have a whole other segment of Crucible. It's a small furnace, maybe 80 to 90,000 pounds. When you're melting CPM, you're talking about 6,000 pounds.
Okay.
So the scale of everything is smaller, and then taking it from a powder back to a solid is a whole nother process that's not at all involved in typical carbon or stainless melting.
So 6,000 pounds in a batch.
Yep.
And I'm guessing, like, when people think of a steel mill with big, like a big steel mill making sheets of steel,
Right.
it's tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds, correct?
Yeah.
They're huge, just gigantic. I was really amazed how small the batches are, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really kind of cool. And I think it speaks to the boutique nature of it. One of the things that I've really been impressed with Crucible over the years is your ability to innovate, not only in the knife market, but in other specialty steels.
Sure.
But specific to our industry and specific to knives, the last handful of years, you guys are absolutely killing it. Some of the foreign steel companies were hot for a while. Right now, the American steels are hot. MagnaCut, S45VM.
Absolutely, yeah.
Crewware that we sell a bunch of, S90V, 15V, you name it, you guys are making all of it.
Yeah, so true. And the chemistry and the design and the R&D is a big part of knife making, right? So Dr. Laren Thomas was a big assist on the MagnaCut, as everybody knows. I mean, he designed that to be what it is. We've got some great folks on the floor who just brilliant when it comes to chemistry and processing and manufacturing. But we all know knives are more than that, and we got to throw it back to our partners who do heat treatment, who do all this stuff, because we can make the best steel in the world. Without everybody here who does the heat treatment, the grinding, it wouldn't be as successful as it is. So it's important to innovate. Crucible has been in the United States for almost 150 years. So there's always kind of an innovation and what could be next.
See, I didn't realize you guys were around that long. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really find it interesting and cool that you know, you're buying an American-made knife, and
Yes.
it's an American-made steel. You
Yes.
guys are
Yep.
making it. Niagara is rolling it.
Yeah.
It's going to the water jet guy, and then it's going to the knife maker. And so all of these steps are supporting American-made jobs, right?
100%. So we have 205 teammates at Crucible. Awesome. We've got a lot of folks who've been with us for a long time. We have 3 employees with over 50 years of experience right now.
That's impressive.
So that's huge, right? And
Yeah.
so a lot of that knowledge that's able to be passed on is really beneficial. Niagara, right down the road from us, has another 40-ish employees. So we're the last knife maker, I think, who's making powder in the U.S. So credit to a lot of the other folks who are out in the industry, but 100% melted manufactured here in the States.
That is really cool. Andrew, I really appreciate you taking the time
Absolutely.
out of a busy show here.
It's been a great show.
Yeah, it has been. We've really enjoyed it. Thanks
Yeah.
for your time.
Thank
Thanks
you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.